So as you can see, this lighting looks beautiful, but it can be improved nonetheless. And needless to say, 3-point lighting is the way to fix that. Now we have a key light here, we have a bounce here, we have a hair light up here, we have a backlight here, and now all that's left to do is light the background. Let's break down this lighting setup a little bit more so you guys know exactly where to place the lights and why to place them there. My friends, my family, and everyone else in between, welcome to a channel that teaches you how to explore, inspire, and engage as an active videographer. My name is Cody Scott, and if you're new to this channel, feel free to consider hitting that subscribe button, that like button, or that dislike button, if that's something you're into. So guys, today we get a behind the scenes look on how we light our sets professionally. Now, if you're just starting out, the likelihood of you being by yourself on set is pretty likely. Did I say that right?
You said likely, that you're likely to be alone.
And you're likely to like
my content.
to like the content.
Like it now.
Now, you're probably gonna be working on set by yourself. Luckily, I'm married and I got a beautiful wife to help me on set. She's holding the camera right now. So if this describes you, no need to worry, because we're gonna cover how you can get a high, big budget look on a budget. So let's jump into the lighting setup. So, step one is composition. If you're alone, you have to set your camera up where your subject's gonna be. So the first step was placing a chair where my subject is gonna be, and then I set up my camera. We're using a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K and the Canon EOS-R as a B cam. And now that my composition is set, it's looking good. We're on a third, which you must make sure you follow. Put a subject on the third if you wanna make it look professional, because those lines are there for a reason, to help you out. So now that, oops. Now that our composition is set, let's move into how we lit this environment. So as you can see behind me, there's a lot going on, and it might be hard to understand. So let's deep dive into this. Right over here is a key light. The best way to place your key light is 45 degrees to the left or right of your subject, and then raise it up and tilt it down 45 degrees. So 45 degrees and 45 degrees. If you're using a B cam, it needs to be 35 degrees from your original camera. Now, this is a key light. It's gonna act as the main source of light, and the best thing to do is to make sure that it does not look artificial. Now, as you can see over here, there's a lot of windows, and it's bringing in a lot of natural daylight. And that's something to consider when you're filming. What you don't want to do is just start putting light all over the place and just making sure it's lit. You want to look in the room to see where the natural light source is coming from and just try to enhance it, replicate it, and add to it. So we're supplementing this massive window, this beautiful daylight over here, with a daylight balanced light. Now, over here you can see that I have the Aperture 120D Mark II bouncing off of this silver bounce card over here, and that's just filling in my shadows. A common mistake for beginners is to not light for your shadows. And when that happens, you introduce grain into your image. It does become dark, contrasty, and punchy. Now there's a time and place for that, and a time and place where it works for a certain audience. For this, it's a little bit different. Now, over here, you can see I just have an eye light. All it's doing is supporting that window that's right in front of the subject. It's just blending the lights just a little bit more. Now, as you can see here, I also have a hair light, a very important thing that you see in high budget films. They have this massive roof over them that's just called a light panel that keeps LEDs hitting the subject's head right at the top. And it just makes a beautiful image, and it separates them from the background, which we're gonna get into in just a moment, depth. Now, as you can see here, I have another hair light, and what it's doing is hitting the back shoulder of my subject. What this does perfectly is separates my subject from the background. And when you do that, you get a very pleasing and a very aesthetically appealing image. Now, when you're shooting with a camera, most things are two-dimensional, and that light makes it 3D by separating them from the background, which is our next topic, light the background. So let's get into it. Now, as you guys can see, this background needs some light on it. And if your subject has a lot of beautiful light, your background needs to have it too, or else you're gonna run into a lot of problems. So this is what it looks like when you backlight your background. Hold on. So another thing that I did in this environment was to add some lines to it. And I did that by looking at this window over here. My buddy's gonna put a piece of glass there, so it might diffuse it a little bit, but right now, it's causing a shadow on the ground. And it looks great. From our main camera angle, you can see how it's adding some dimension and character to the image by adding some lines on the ground. The third and final part to making your image look so pleasing and to get the best lighting setup is to remove things from the background. Where I'm standing, there was a couch, and where you're standing was a chair. So we moved all of that out of the background. We moved all of the stuff from the background out of the image just to give us a big sense of depth. It can become quite distracting when you have a lot of little things hiding in your image. It gives people the ability to wander around and look what's going on in your image, when in an interview, all the focus should be in the eyes of your subject. So I'm gonna keep that little Christmas tree over there, but let's see what it looks like from start to finish.